Hello, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and this is Blue World Order from blueworldorder.gov. And today we're talking about Avatar 2, The Way of Water. We saw it. I saw it. You saw it, right?
It's .jim, Jason. It's not
.jim. Okay.
Come on.
So you waited like, a good, 12 years or something for this movie?
Longer, really, because I was listening to Cameron talk about Avatar in the 90s, right? Like, I want to specifically go back. The first time Avatar showed up on my radar was when I was flying out from when I graduated basic training. We flew out of Baltimore to go to Germany, some station in Friedberg, Germany. And when I was at the airport, I'm like, I need something to read. It's a 13-hour flight. And there was this issue of Empire magazine that said, George Lucas, Jim Cameron, and Peter Jackson are the next big filmmakers because they're bringing the digital revolution, right? And I'm like, well, I got to read this, right? Bought the issue, save it for the plane, get on the plane and read it. And it's about Lucas making the prequels and how he wants to move to digital cinema and all the digital actors that are in there and they're creating digital creatures. And then Peter Jackson goes, we're going to use this. I didn't know what Peter Jackson was. I mean, Frighteners. It's kind of like, and I thought the movie was okay. But he goes, we're going to use computers to make big actors into little hobbits. And I'm like, that's going to go horribly wrong. The way it was described sounded like they were going to do that weird, like, morphine thing where they, where they squish your face. They didn't explain it very well. But I was like, I don't know about that. Right. And then Jim Cameron goes on there. He's like, yeah, we're going to do like 100% digital photorealistic fucking environments and actors. And we're going to shoot it in 3D. And I'm like, that just I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what? And it just took forever for that first movie to come out. And I remember when Avatar first, the banners started to appear in San Diego for Comic-Con, right? The Na'vi eye, or Natiri's face, right? And everyone was like, what is it? Because this was right, the trailer debuted at Comic-Con, right around that time. So everyone was like, is it coming? What is it? I don't know what it is. And when it came out, the trailer came out, people were like, oh, that's it? I don't know. I don't know if everyone's going to see it. Blue people in the jungle. I don't know. And I'm going to like, in my head, I'm like, fucking motherfuckers, like, literally watch, like, endless anime and Star Wars. I figured they will. Like, the anime Star Wars people will show up and then tell everyone if it's good or bad. We'll see how it goes. But I've been dealing with this, like avatars for idiots kind of thing my whole life, right? Like my adult career, right? Like, and I'm like, great, then I'm an idiot. Like, I'll watch anything Jim Cameron. Let me explain to you why this ties into Star Wars specifically. In May of 1977, before I was born, right? Jim Cameron, Bill Wisher, and I think Randy Frakes went to Chinese Man Theater to go see this movie called Star Wars, right? They were there opening weekend. They went in there.
So what?
When they walk out the theater, well, everyone's like, that was fun. Look, that was amazing. Jim Cameron was like, all right, we got to get Xenogenesis made, this short film you want to do. We're got to get financing. Here's this plan, and we're going to do this, and this will be, they can share the profits, and we got to get this, we got to get this. Like, he just came out with he got to get his fucking life going. The whole, like, well, will I, won't I? Well, maybe I can do this, and I can keep learning. The dude got busy. He got so inspired by Star Wars, he got busy, and to think about that, like, who was also there that weekend? Not the same theater, but that weekend was Ridley Scott. And that's what led Ridley Scott to make Alien. So, like, the fact that the director of Alien and then the writer-director of Aliens 2 both saw Star Wars at the same theater and that weekend had the same fucking holy shit moment, we got to get busy, is fucking brilliant. Like, it's just, and look where we're at now. This is Jim Cameron's Star Wars. It's a world. Instead of making a galaxy, he made one world, right? One world that's so big, it has a vast amount of, diversity, that's connected with a force like power, right? And he kind of wrote these ideas down, not this specific thing, but a lot of the stuff was in a thing called biogenesis. And if you ever seen like the artwork for biogenesis, it's like every idea he ever had for a movie was in there. You get bits of Terminator, you get bits of Alien, the power loader shit's there, you get all these monster creatures. So, like, I just think, like, the dude's one of us, man. Just the dude literally was able to not just coalesce the ability to make a film, like he just kept going. And this is the end result. And I don't care if like this is your jam or not your jam, man, you gotta respect it. Like you gotta respect anyone who walks out of imagine someone walks out of fucking Spider-Man, goes, I gotta get fucking busy, and then 10 years later they're making the greatest fucking Spider-Man movie of all. We just don't see that.
Rob, answer the question. Did you like it?
Did I fucking love the movie? What are you talking about? I got
Avatar
one
2.
gripe.
Avatar 2.
Yeah, Avatar 2.
Avatar
I got
2.
one gripe about Avatar 2. Just one. And it was one I was afraid of before the movie came out. And it's fine. The music, the soundtrack, the score, it's fine. Compared to most other films coming out these days, it's more than fine. It's like, hey, man, that's a competent score. But it's not a replacement for James Horner. It's just not. It's just the way when James, go back to that battle, the final battle in Avatar 1, and like da 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 da, right? The way it's synced, James Horner's a fucking master, man. You know, and he met Jamie Horner at the Roger Corman Studios. They all go way back.
You know what I always say though? If you don't have Horner, just get Metallica on a cover of Metallica and go that way.
It's not
That's
that.
what I always say.
Simon Fangren was his assistant. I get it, you know, but like, I would have been like, is Alan Silvestri not butthurt about The Abyss? He could come back, right?
Right.
Did he get over it? They all get over it, Jason. Eventually, come working back, you know.
All right, let's ask Tom. Hey, Tom,
Loved
how
it.
are you?
Loved it. I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved
This
it.
is cinema. When I want a fucking
cinema?
action thing that is beautiful and horrific and fucking thought-provoking.
Oh my God. It made me cry. I mean, I'm a crier in movies, I'll admit it, but it made me cry. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Smith started a flood in his own theater. He cries everywhere, but it looked like the ending of this movie. People were running out, tears flowing, being trapped. No, that didn't happen.
When they went underwater for the first time I saw it 3D IMAX. I mean, I think first of all, you got to see it in the theater in 3D in IMAX if you can.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that first, when they go underwater, man, it was so spectacularly beautiful.
This is way different than like when you see the water in like Aquaman or even Black Panther, right? And in Black Panther, they actually had people in the water, but it's different. Like when they're breathing the water in and out, that's just, I don't know, when they're rolling around on the beach, you're like, you just stop thinking, other than that they're blue fucking aliens, you're like, yeah, it feels like I'm there, man. Like, it's just,
I mean, they had like details where they had bubbles, you know, you could see them like coming up the cheek or like in their eye. Like the detail was just really astonishing. I mean, it was beautiful. You really thought it was like Rob saying, you thought you were there. Like it was real. Like these aliens exist. It was.
Well, it also has to go the way Cameron shoots films. He shoots with Steadicam, and he's actually like this motherfucker actually operates the Steadicams. Like when he's like, I made this giant fucking camera. Yeah, I'm the guy fucking actually on the camera. Cameron isn't telling someone else go fucking hold it.
See him in your background?
Yeah.
When he doesn't have the Steadicam, he actually walks like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he walks like his crab vehicles. That's how they created the crab vehicles. Like, look at me. Look at me.
I like the crabs. I liked when the movie got crabs.
The Star Wars films need to learn from this. They need to learn from it. And it's not, they do. No. They really do. Because this
would not be a good Star Wars movie.
This is exactly what Lucas was trying to do do with the Phantom.
I disagree. Yeah, I think that the Sigourney Weaver daughter character is going to be like, she's going to be a bit like Luke Skywalker. I mean, she's going to be discovering as we go forward, I believe, more power. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think we're going to see her. We're going to see her grow. We're going to see her. We're going to see her grow and her connection to the planet. And I think that ultimately, she's going to be why the humans get to go away. That would be my guess.
Well, see, so here's the thing. The reason why I do like the movie is because I don't think it's Star Wars. Star Wars does not spend time to catch its breath. It's not how it's done. It's just not how the Star Wars. What?
Andor took its time to catch its breath.
Andor is not Star Wars in capital STARWARS. This
is the blend between Andor and Lucas style stuff. Like this is, but if you just got a guy who actually focused,
a New Hope is Star Wars. Okay,
correct. You can only remake.
This is not the same thing.
So many times, like
I'm just saying. They don't try to do the same thing at all. This movie,
I didn't say it remade. The Force Awakens remade Star Wars. the last half of Maverick
Force
remade Star Wars.
Awakens
This isn't
tries
remaking Star Wars.
to
This
do the
is
same thing.
This is a fantastical planet that's being like abused and manipulated by outside forces, and the interior forces are unwilling to do anything until it steps on their doorstep. You know what I mean? It doesn't really, they think it's not going to affect them in any way, but it really does. It's a symbiotic
matters,
and it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a real living, breathing planet.
If you come to Star Wars looking for this tone, it's never happened. It's probably might not ever happen, and you will always be disappointed though. I mean, that's what I mean. But once again, it's not a dig on anything. It's not the. It's like this is a completely different thing. This is like showing like a family moving. I mean, it's basically about a family moving.
I guess my point wasn't that I wasn't trying to draw a direct comparison. I just think there are some minor, like the growth of Luke that was kind of what I was intimating, like how he connects to the Force and how
monomyth stuff that like
I'm not talking about specific lore.
The magic of the world, I guess, is what I'm.
The Star Wars fans, man, the minute you say something Star Wars, they go, "Well, no, because of 4BBY, this character." I'm not talking about all that.
I'm not
Think
saying
about
that.
the themes when Lucas says, "I'm going to make a Phantom Menace, and it's going to be this planet called Naboo, and it's about how they're being like abused or repressed by a corporate fucking entity, right? That wants to exploit them for their greater goals. And there's some characters that are trying to show them that, hey, you know what I mean? You're going to have to fucking get involved with you're going to have to work together because this shit ain't going away. And they go, no, it doesn't affect me. But this at an actual, like, rather than just like a surface level, Flash Gordon-y way where it's just sort of like an excuse to kind of go on a rompous adventure, you actually dig in deep. You dig in deep and go, okay, what does that actually mean? And how racist would these Gungans be to other Gungans, let alone Naboos? Like would they be? Well, you're the Gungans in the lake. Gungans in the jungle don't give a shit.
Avatar is more anthropological than serial.
Yeah, but that's what Lucas was trying to do in that movie, was put anthropological things in there. No, he did it at its surface level. He goes
surface level. There's all these.
Level.
It's surface level, and then it's like a documentary.
But that's Andor. That's the documentary, the anthropological documentary.
The Andor and Avatar aren't the same thing, even close.
No, they're not. But they're doing similar things in completely different ways.
I hear where Rob's coming. I also think that if you added an additional hour to, A New Hope, for example, we might, they might be able to spend a little bit more time on
1977 Lucas. Yes. 1999 Lucas. No.
Not 1977. Lucas would never make Avatar. It's too fucking slow.
He wouldn't have made Avatar after American Graffiti, but before American Graffiti, if he just made THX 1138, he would have. Mm-hmm. It's a different mindset. Yeah, it's the radical 60s environmentalist, right? Anti-corporate fucking mindset that he had.
No, but that thing doesn't change. Like that element doesn't change, that you have guys from the 70s that have like some like quote radical beliefs in that front. But this is like you like literally take time to watch people go like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Star Wars, when it does it, it's like, well, here I go. Like, I'm just saying, it's such a different take on the whole thing. But when I saw the movie last night, my take on it was, I don't know if I liked it or if I didn't like it, because it was exactly what I expected, 100%. And I don't know if that's not fair. I honestly don't know what the answer. Like, it didn't go anywhere where I thought like it didn't like amaze me. Like I didn't see that kind of, I couldn't believe that happened kind of thing. But the thing I liked the most about it was from the reviews I was laughing at the hardest was the Free Willy thing. That was the thing I liked the best in the movie, was the subplot of the boy with the whale. Yeah, that was my favorite part.
See, I didn't see a review going into it, so I went in like completely blank. I mean, I knew Avatar, I'd seen it, but I didn't read anything going in, so I had zero expectation one way or the other. And I thought, again, I liked it. I mean, I think there was a lot of retread in it, but I also think that Cameron was setting up stuff for the next movie. So I really think it's hard to judge this one standing alone until we see if the things that I think he was setting up pay off.
Yeah, 100%. no, I agree. Like,
I mean, I think
could-
like the whale, golden, amber. I mean, is that going to pay off? Could it kind of seem like they have to
Here's
pay
how
that
it
off?
pays
Like,
off.
are we going to see?
Here's how it pays off in this movie. It's fucking horrific.
Oh,
and it's showing
listen,
something in real life, and it's subversive in that it makes the audience participatory in it.
oh
It was so
I went with my
traumatic.
wife and my kids, and my wife was like, again, she was, oh my God, like she hated
The
it.
people
You know,
next to
like,
me, there was an
yeah, that's what's
elderly
supposed
couple.
to happen. Like it elicits that response that if you're a caring person, you know, you're like, this is awful. But I think that we might even get more of it. Like, are we going to see these humans that don't age anymore and they're like hungry for this stuff? Like, I think we'll see more in the next movie.
Yeah. It's a good MacGuffin. I don't know if MacGuffin is the right term, but it's the carrot on the stick for humanity that makes them terrible. It's the fountain of youth. It's everything right there. So you are going to do whatever you can to. I mean, it's life or death to humanity on top of the world dying. Top of Earth dying.
Rob, I thought number one, clearly, you know, they're taking over the world from an industrial point, but are they also talking about terraforming the planet? Like they kind of sounded like, hey, we're going to move here, and the Na'vi are no longer going to be able to breathe because we're going to make it breathable air for humans, which, I mean, again, is horrifically scary. So, you know, is that what maybe the next movie is going to deal with that too? You know, I think that they're going there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was so horrific that the elderly couple next to me had to leave. Like she was shaking.
Yeah, that's what in my screening was interesting in that in my row, 4 people to my right left because they were over it. People in front of me were sobbing. It's all over the place. And so I imagine that like it's going to be a sort of a mixed bag, but because it was like I took a kid to see it, my daughter, she couldn't hang with it. It was just like too long. She couldn't, and I like long movies. I don't mind it. I don't mind that at all. But it was bad. I was going to ask you, Tom, like your kids, were they cool with it?
I mean, I noticed my 12-year-old got a little antsy. You know, like he was moving up in his seat a little bit. But I mean, they did love it. I mean, they were happy to sit there. They just got a little antsy. I mean, it's long. It's, you know, they got on them and they're like, oh my God, that was 3.5 hours. I mean, but you know, that's a 12-year-old kid's perspective. I mean, my wife, who isn't necessarily a huge moviegoer, she just thought it was great. I mean, she was really happily surprised. And I don't remember the last movie I went to her with. So, you know, for her to give such a positive, glaring review, I think speaks volumes to it also, just for the normal kind of crowd that, you know, doesn't look into the depth of all the Avatar lore like Rob might know. You know, she liked it for the eye candy that it was in the story. I mean, and we have right? I mean, as a family person, I mean, I don't know how you can be a familial type person and walk away from this movie and not have an emotional response. I mean, it was family driven. I mean, it was, and I think they pulled it off. I mean, like I said, I was crying for the last 10 minutes of the movie. I couldn't help myself. It was heart-wrenching.
Rob, did you like Spider's Choice? Spider's Choice. Should he have done it? Was it bad that he saved his dad? I don't know if so I read reviews and they were non-specific. And with Spider, they were comparing him in reviews to Ray Winstone in Indiana Jones 4. I completely disagree with that take about like him, because like in Indiana Jones 4, that character is just like playing every side to what is advantageous to him in it. And that kid was just in a bad place the whole entire time, and then was like, do I let my dad drown?
Oh yeah, I can go outside and have a chance at maybe escaping, or sitting here and get fucking Clockwork Oranged for the next 3 weeks until my mind breaks. I don't know. Which one are you gonna do? I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
It's, you know, do I sit in the Abu Ghraib or do I go out in the field and maybe I can run off? Like, which one do I take my chances with? Like,
right.
Well, but I think also they set it up. I mean, the dad saved him, right? Like the dad had a choice.
Fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi let a dude who murdered children fucking just sit there and maybe he'll, you know, he didn't
Classic Republican whataboutism.
So yeah, well, you know me, I'm the biggest fucking conservative dude on the planet. You know,
I mean, look, if I were to bet again when we're talking about the payoffs of these things, that the arc of the whatever. I'm sorry about the names, but I think his arc is going to be one of redemption.
Spider,
so eventually,
or the dad.
I'm saying the dad. I'm talking about the. I'm sorry, the dad. The Avatar. The Colonel, whatever. His arc is gonna be one of redemption ultimately. And I mean, again,
Spider is nobody. It's nobody.
I'm sorry.
Spider is no one.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think that again, Spider could have been killed. The dad said, "Okay, hold on. It's not gonna be kid for kid in this moment." So he sees his dad not let him die. So and it's your dad, right? I mean, even if we hate our parents, you kind of have to save dad.
And that's what I was wondering is that guy pure evil? Did he save the kid because it is his son and he does feel something for him, or did he save his son because it was tactically sound to have an interpreter and I
thought he saved his son because it was his son. In that moment,
yeah,
the feeling I got was that he saved him out of a connection to the kid.
Yeah. Rob, how did you read it? Why do you think why do you think he saved? Do you think he saved Spider because it was his son, or do you think he saved Spider because it was a tactical?
No,
choice?
He knows his kid, man. He has all the memories, that existed up until that was recorded. So he knew it was his kid. I mean, you could say, do I feel anything for a baby or do I don't, man? Well, you tell me, Jason. Could I throw one of your little babies off of? What are you gonna do about it? I don't know, man. I come in a weird place. I'm not like the rest.
Is he a traitor to humanity? Because
my parents abandoned and blamed me for the rest of my entire life for living. So when my parents came down to choosing to fucking save me, my mom was like, fuck them. Like, I'm not even being cynical. That's just the reality. However, could I let my mom drown? You know what I mean? Could I let my mom was a vile creature at the end of her life, dude, a horrific person who did a lot of bad things for the city of San Diego. I can't even get into. And I go, no, I couldn't let my mom drown. I have a soul. I get my mom lost her soul. I understand why Anakin or Obi-Wan couldn't murder his best friend. At the end of the day, I can't. I mean, whatever. I can't. Like, he walked away, but he didn't.
That's the exact point I'm trying to make. Your mom or dad might be a terrible person, and they might have treated you like crap, but they're still your parent. At the end of the day, are you going to watch them drown? I mean, that's tough, man.
And then when that person comes back and helps murder half the planet, what are you gonna? That's a character choice. These are all a movie or any story for that matter has to do is have characters who make meaningful choices and have to deal with meaningful consequences, good or bad, of those choices. I'm out of any story. I don't give a fuck if it's a Marvel movie, if it's fucking Law and Order, whatever you want to do, Star Trek. If I feel like they're not making choices, they're just doing whatever the person who wrote the script needed them to do. I want characters to make choices that I'm like, I think they made that choice. Neytiri is a person who's like, fuck that human kid, the whole fucking movie. You know what I mean? And even then, I don't think she's fully on board at the end of it. I don't suspect she's overcome her grief in that this kid. And when that kid's dad comes back, I think that's unresolved shit that's going to, move forward, but not in a cliffhangery, what's going to happen next? Like, you put your whole weight of the movie on it. It's a tangent in a complicated situation where look when she goes super psycho in a film, man. That is a legitimate fucking response. That is what would you do in that situation if fucking that horrific thing happened to you, right? How would you react to it? That's all I'm asking for, man.
Tom, Rob is coming through your audio a little bit.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just letting you know.
My mom worked for the district attorney in San Diego, Junior Jangles, and she was in charge of all fucking things, looking after child welfare. All right. And the fact that a woman who abandoned her own kids, okay, you know what I mean, claimed they were dead. You right? Said I was dead, got married to a whole dude, told her kids were dead when they were just living 30 minutes away. Ended up being in charge of child welfare, having never once paid for, is a horrific thing.
Yeah.
So don't fucking start with me, Junior Jangles. You know what I mean? So that's what I come to. I'm always weighing this as an experience. What do you do when you have this parent who's this dude fucking vaporizes, a whole jungle just to land a ship. They didn't have to vaporize the jungle to land a ship and build something. That's to set a point, and that's just to start.
Yeah. You know what I was like theorizing, or what I thought was going to happen in the movie, just as a side note before I forget. I kept thinking that what's Spider's dad's name? I don't remember the
Quaritch.
character's name. What is it?
Quaritch.
Quaritch?
Yeah.
I kept thinking he was going to die, and that Spider was going to take his body to the place where, where they take the boy at the end, and I thought he was going to infect the planet. And we were going to go into like Metal Avatar next. I thought for a second. That's what I thought it was gonna. That's what I thought might happen for a few minutes. Like when I was watching it.
That requires, in order to communicate with the planet, requires a spiritual connection, and that kid doesn't have that yet.
Yeah.
He has not had a spiritual moment. Matter of fact, the majority of the Sully family, the kids haven't, other than the daughter, and then eventually
Sigourney?
the brother has this. Yeah, the daughter, Sigourney's daughter, right? Sigourney.
How old is Sigourney Weaver's daughter supposed to be? Because like I this is something I was like kind of confused about, because it's like it's Sigourney Weaver's voice, so like I hear like an adult voice, but then when she meets Sigourney in the flashback, she looks like she's a child, like really small. Like she's like,
yeah, but this period, it's been in like 12 to 13 years after the first film.
Okay,
somewhere between there.
Yeah.
They didn't all have their babies at once. You know what I mean? Everyone didn't just appear, but yeah. And I don't know, man, because when I hit 11, I hit 6 foot tall. So you could say someone's tall for their age. Yeah, I know.
Well, she's a cat person.
I grew out all my fucking clothes.
They're like huge. So when she was like smaller than Sigourney Weaver, all of a sudden I was like, is she supposed to be like 9? Like I just wasn't sure what.
Can I ask a really stupid question? Was that Sigourney Weaver acted like they just digitized her? Okay, I thought so, but I couldn't really tell.
They Billy de-aged her.
Yeah, they knocked us out of the park if it wasn't her. I was like, how did they do
Star Wars?
Yeah. It was her, and that was like.
Is the audio better, by the way, with the headphones?
It is much better.
Okay.
Much better. Yeah, and that was like one of the things about it that like where I thought like I was both impressed. There was a couple of times when I could tell like that doesn't sound like a kid right now, and I was like the performance like but then overall it was really good though. Overall I
had a kid. I had this. Okay, this is the craziest thing I see. I had a for a while I had a series of babysitters who coming out of the house until my dad was like, "You're old enough to watch your brother."
Yeah.
One of them was a woman named Lisa, who ended up being murdered by her husband. It was crazy. She had a little son named Mark. Mark was like, when we met him, he was like 3. When he hit 5 or 6, he started growing hair out of his legs. Like he just got hairy. He was a hairy. He just hit. And when he hit fucking 10, he sounded like Chef from South Park. Like that kid just grew. So I don't know. Like you could, again, I think if you just say, well, I'm used to stereotypical kid looks and sounds this way, then okay, I guess, but
no, it's fine.
Really
it's fine.
That stuff,
it's fine. But I mean, we are dealing with unprecedented.
So this could be like
uses of technology
16 years. This
in
is
narrative,
16
and
to 20 years after the first film. Whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't. Again, like this is like sometimes, man. Do I need to know exactly the amount of time?
Oh, sorry, I got mad.
In between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Like that only occurs when you start writing Marvel comics that all have to link up in some way. Like I'm like, well, it's generally speaking, like, does that look like a teenager and sound like, sure. Sometimes it sounds like Sigourney Weaver as a teenager. Yeah. You know why? Because it's Sigourney Weaver as a teenager. And I'm an adult enough to know what I've been listening to Sigourney Weaver talk for almost as long as I've been alive. Right. So like, for real, like, so I know what, I get it, and plus old Sigourney Weaver's in here too. So you know what she sounds like. And I don't think they sound exactly the same, but that's the same person,
Yeah. But I mean, but once again, it's worth examining. Like I said, Hollywood's figuring this out.
Hey, now. Rob, what's your takeaway with the scene where she was connected to Iowa, like under the water, and she has the seizure? And I felt like that came right after she was asking who her father was. Did you have any feeling as to what Cameron was trying to, the response?
What's Iowa trying to hide? That's what he's getting at. No.
No, and it could end up being like corny later on. It could end up being just a monomyth. Like, fine. I mean, look, I'm not a fan of the whole chosen one thing. And what I always felt like with the first film, Neytiri would say things to Jake Sully like, you have no fear, And I'm like, that's because it's not his body.
Right.
Like he can't really die. Like, I'm running around this body. I'm, like, like he's like protecting himself from being murdered because it's gonna fucking hurt by those animals in the first film, right? Remember he's got the stick and he's like, motherfucker, I don't really want to be eaten alive. I'm gonna feel that, you know. I probably, you know, instinctive. I don't really want to deal with that. But
it's a horrific
also
experience.
at the same time, in this movie, I'm like, okay, I wonder what's gonna be like when he doesn't have a way out. He doesn't have a second life. In this one, you find out what happens. I'm running. You know what I mean? Like I gotta get not just me, but my kids. They ain't gonna fucking respawn in a tube and get another. You know, I gotta protect. You know, like it's like all those kids who play Call of Duty and think when they get down range they're gonna really be able to handle. You know, just the sheer. People don't know what your jaw feels like when a grenade goes off, right? How you feel it in your bones, right? So like they don't understand what concussions is. So like, it's traumatic. Just, even in training situations, it can be traumatic. You don't know how people are going to react. And so I feel that situation, you know, could play out where, is it her happy, you know, the scientist, he has an epileptic seizure. I do worry if not handled right, you could sit there and go, well, medical condition could also be a spiritual, you know what I mean? Like I do wonder where that's going to go, but Cameron's pretty, he's not, you know, I don't think he's going to be like, no, see, it's really her superpower is autism. Like, I don't think that's going to, you know, that it's just not as simple as that, you know?
Right.
But how would a scientist, I mean, how are any of these guys, they're trying to like use their stuff to explain spiritual, you know,
right.
That was her Ray looking at all of the different versions of herself moment in a different way. Right.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. And I actually like that part of The Last Jedi. I know some people like that's what I show up to Star Wars for, is to have something there that's going beyond, you know, let's get the tricorder out, explain, you know, really. Like I don't, you know.
So do you think that we're like, without, I'm gonna get way too far ahead, but I just want to ask right now, you guys think that, so are we getting like where the Solis are going to sort of transverse through the environments and conquer them, and then at the end of the story, we end up where now he's got the sky, he's got the forest, he's got the sea, he's got
he's going to have to unify the planet. First off, it's not they're going to keep, you know, being nomads going from biome to biome, right? And then having the same fucking movie over and over again. Because at the end of the movie,
that's what the title sounded like, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. But the reality at the end of the film, spoilers, is no, this is your place. You don't have to run from here. We're not expecting you to protect us from, you know, like we're here in it with you. You know, we've suffered, you've suffered. It's a choice. The idea, I think, is that their previous home, the other people didn't have a choice in that. You know, like he sort of thrust himself upon them. Both sides are like, no, we're making a stand here. In terms of having to link the different Na'vi together to fight a fucking global colonial power. Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to have to happen, because we could see right now, they're like, hey, my fucking problem. I'm a water person. I gotta, you know,
I think the same thing, that they're going to bring you know, my son walked out of the movie. He's like, oh, Dad, the next movie has to be about like cave Na'vi, like they're going to be brown and they're going to be in the earth and it's going to be underground or something. You know, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, son. But, you know, I think it's going to be this unification. They're going to get their butts kicked. And then the Sigourney Weaver daughter is going to, you know, the planet is going to push the humans off, or is going to eat them up, or something, you know, something's going to happen at the end that's going to be this savior moment.
Yeah, she did go VR with the little jellyfish guys at the end, didn't she? Like kind of controlling them, and I like that. And visually, it was really
totally
nice.
cool. And they showed signs of it earlier when she was messing around with her feet in the pool, and there were a couple other signs where nature was kind of responding to her. So I think that's where we're going.
And to go back to your earlier comment about the IMAX and like there's like a variable frame rate, I heard all of this stuff.
I wanted to talk about that too. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I saw it at D23. And with the high frame rate clips, and it kicked Real D's ass. When I saw it in Real D last night, and it was not the same. It was not the same seeing it in Real D versus the IMAX variable frame rate jazz. I would say if you have a chance to see it, in IMAX for sure.
I saw it in IMAX. I don't know. I heard Rob talking the other, I don't know, month ago or so. He was talking about digital IMAX.
Yeah.
I don't know, or laser IMAX. I don't know if this was or wasn't. I'm not really sure.
I'm just talking about digital laser projections. So.
Digital thing. Sorry.
Just because if you go to a standard real D is the conversion format. It's not the projection.
Yeah.
But a lot of people see 3D films. And this is just a general rule. It's not an Avatar rule. But if you go see a 3D film, just see it in a laser projection, right? Like make sure your theater's using laser, because the fucking theater owners cheaping out on the lamps, and you get these dark films. You know,
see, it was right. I mean, I don't have the gripe that I see many people about the frame rate, and I did think that the train scene early in the movie, where the raid, where they raid the couple of plane, they attack that train. I didn't think that looked great. That looked like a video game to me. Just personally, I was like, oh, that kind of looks video gamey. But other than that, it was the only time in the movie where I got kind of pulled out by the visuals, but I thought overall I had no complaint of, and I hate the soap opera effect on a TV. Like that makes me crazy. So, and I heard a lot of people comparing it to that on Twitter. I don't see it, but maybe I got the good projector that Rob's talking about. I don't know, but I didn't have that problem.
Yeah. Did you like how it looked? Were you happy with it, Rob?
The quality of CGI in the film is great, and I'll tell you why. It has weight. Even that train, everything has weight. And for me, CGI feels wonky when it's unweighty. It just kind of flies around and it doesn't have the proper weight. But everything has weight. The ships, the vehicles, the creatures, they all have a weight to them, and that is not easily achieved. So whether a whole environment, I can tell. Look. Humans are pattern recognizers. That's why I can look at a wall of AI art and tell you it's AI art. I don't care. I can tell. It's not because it has 6 fingers. You can just see the pattern. Same. So when you see a totally synthetic environment as an adult, you're like, yeah, it's a totally synthetic environment. The way my dad looked at the Rocketeer and goes, man, his pants will catch on fire. I'm doing any of this shit. I'm like, but you believe in Jesus. You know what I mean? Like he's like, well, I mean, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, the rocket pack thing makes more sense to me than the dude who walks on one. So so I don't, suspension of disbelief. I can. There's parts of the Abyss. I had my friend go, that's totally I remember it goes, that's a mannequin. I'm going to CPR puppets. I'm like, that's literally Mary Elizabeth Mastrantoni. Master
San Antonio? Is it San Antonio?
Yeah, San Antonio. San Antonio.
Yeah.
Brilliant actor. But that's not. So
Whittle it down. Pick a name. Not too much.
There are times when I've played video games where I'm like, I wish this looked more like a video game. Sometimes it looks too real. Like it looks weird. So long as it doesn't have that weird, creepy effect, I'm fine with.
I didn't, in terms of the film itself, I honestly didn't really need any of the stuff of them in the forest. I would have been happy with the movie starting with them coming at the doorstep of the water people going, hey, can we move in? Like in terms of, and then introducing the characters in that moment and shaving an hour off the movie.
Oh man, that fucking forest battle's sick where you last in the Mohicans as the fucking dudes and shit, like in the lighting and the way it's set up. And I don't know, like the thing with Cameron is
he's rich as fuck and he just wanted to do a 3-hour movie.
He's always made a long movie, and then you get the theatrical cut, and then they get the special edition that's longer, and then people say, well, I wish the special edition was the one I saw in the movie, or this scene or that scene. I don't think he's making like typical 3-act
not with Star Wars
stuff, like so you can sit there. I don't know, man. Like this is all subjective. I feel like I've waited 10 years. I'm willing to sit in the theater. Fucking, if I'm being entertained, watch this shit for another 4 hours. People binge. I don't know. People binge 8 hours of fucking Rings of Power and then go, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch fucking 12 hours more. I don't know how you do it. So I'm fine with it. The pacing. It's an adventure. It's a complete adventure. I don't feel like I got.
I just don't. I got my money. In terms of like critiquing it as a text, I don't feel like those parts moved anything forward. I don't think really anything truly moves forward until we get there. And so what it serves as is character reintroductions. And I really do think that
villain introductions.
And I think you could have done that concurrently later on in the film. Like that's my big critique of the script. Because when we get to the water place, we are essentially reintroduced to everybody once again about what their personal weaknesses are as they integrate into that society. And So like that was my whole thing. But once again, I know people were expecting it to be long, and he just wanted to make it long. So it just is what it is. But I mean, that was my like my big, I guess, script gripe about it, if I had one, you know. And,
I mean, I think there was character building in there, and I think that familial relationship that I talked about obviously was built in that first hour or so also. So I think it was, I agree with you though, could have done it in a different time in a different place, but I think it worked.
Yeah, I think there's something about long movies and TV shows where even if it is inefficient, just spending time with the character brings like familiarity with them, and then you become empathetic to them, even if it's not actually.
Well, Quentin Tarantino talked about this in 1997 when he was on the Charlie Rose show. And the complaints about Jackie Brown at the time was that it was too long. It's a 2.5 hour film, Jackie Brown. It's 2.5 hours. 1997 time, folks, right? No cell phones in the theater time. Yeah. And he was explaining, well, since it was based off a book, he wanted you to spend time just hanging out with the characters for the first hour of the film, so you gave a shit when shit went down in the last half, the way a book would. So he wasn't like
kind of like Reservoir Dogs. You got the guys around the table shooting
right, but
shit
for
about
an hour,
Madonna and like
for an hour,
yeah, and then you get to the action, right?
Yeah,
got it.
So he's like, so I don't have a. So he would say, and he did say in an interview, he doesn't have a problem with you agreeing or not agreeing with that. But what he would say is that was his intent. So you can't say it didn't. It's not like he stumbled into that. I didn't know this movie was an hour because characters hanging out. No, I intended that. Yeah. Cameron is intentionally giving you the ability to see that the kids, you get to see them happy in their life, right? In a way, so that when they say, I miss my home, you know what they're talking about. You don't have to go, well, I guess I have to go see the other film on Disney Plus to know what they were talking about, which would have been a griping talking point too. So you get at least 30 minutes of them living in the theater, in the world that they're actually talking about.
When the child does say that line, I think it just worked because the child missed their home, and you just understand that at a very primal,
look, you can
level.
There's a version of this movie you can trim down to 90 minutes if you want to. But what I would say is the dude didn't want to do it. It's not he didn't like not see that, but he just chose to do it that way.
My thing is like I don't mind a 3-hour movie, like sitting. I love going to the theater. I love being in a movie theater. So if I'm in a movie theater for 3 hours, even if I don't really like the movie, I'm kind of happy. So like for me, it's not that. It's more just like what
like
we could have got something that led us more into the next part of the story.
Sure.
With
but remember when you made
that
9-minute version of Bix, the hottest chicks in Star Wars, and I was like, maybe you could trim like 6 minutes of this out, and you're like, I could, but
you were wrong.
I was wrong, right? But I'm not. No. That's just for Cameron. Cameron trims the shit down. But here,
I'm actually converting it into 3D right now.
Yeah, you're converting that song into 3D right now. I told you.
I think he's just converting Bix into 3D
just
right
Bix,
now.
Actually.
Bix, everyone else is flat, right?
Bix, a VR adventure, don't ask. But anyways,
I noticed Dawn real quick, just not to interrupt anybody, but Dawn's asking if we think it's better in 3D or in 2D. Not seeing it in 2D, it's hard for me to actually answer that, but I would say I thought it was stunning in 3D.
No, it's a 3D movie. It's meant to be seen in 3D. And after this, you won't be able to see it in 3D really. Right. So I would definitely, if you don't have any,
I'm gonna go see it again. I want to see it again bad. So
yeah, I would definitely. I mean, like I honestly feel like the first Avatar movie is a theatrical experience. I don't actually enjoy the first Avatar movie at home. I enjoy it in 3D theatrically. That's the best way to see it.
Agreed.
Rob, are you gonna have a breakdown? Are you gonna fight?
No, Jason. No. When we talk, I get sometimes when I'm talking to you guys, right? I get like a numbing feeling sometimes.
Okay.
Like, it's just it's because
I was worried it was me, Rob. I was like, oh god.
This is why I'm a ghost. You can't read. If I could only understand cards, I'd be a great poker player. You'd never be able to figure me. But I can't get my head around cards.
Every time I talk, Rob's like rubbing his temple. He's like, God, I wish Tom would just shut up. No.
I'll tell you, man. Will you shut up? Like,
I know you will. I know.
I could feel it like going. Sometimes it gets me, and I'm like, oh, this.
I watch you guys every day. I know you will.
Did you What do you guys think of the family? Because that was the big thing, is this wasn't really Jake Sully's story necessarily anymore. It was really like the family story. I think one of the big fears that people had was that if the kids were going to be like really annoying, that they were going to be like, ABC Family Channel or something like children. And
Woohoo!
yeah, a lot of
Moons
that.
of
And
Iago.
there is a little bit of that, but there's not a lot of that.
Right.
I didn't hate
think
them.
The line that gets me is when Nate Terry tells Jake, she goes, "This is not your squad. This is your family." Like you're running them like a little platoon. And I got to imagine Cameron heard that. That sounds to me like a line he heard from his own. I mean, there is in the documentary, when he goes to the Marianas Trench, he shot that in 3D. It's brilliant. I highly recommend it. And but there's a part where his kids come down to see the container they're making, right? The submersible.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that dude's a family guy. But I gotta imagine, like, you can really see him with his kids, and like a father. I've never seen that part of James Cameron before. But I gotta imagine it didn't start that way. I think at some point he's treating his family like their crew. Like, this is not your film crew. This is a family. And you have to take a step back. Like, yeah, I get it. So I think kids that have to live up to like a father who's like in charge of everything, they nailed that. Like, my father was like he ran his own security company. He was just a dude who everyone looked up to like save him from shit, and it was like,
and your dad was your dad was in the military.
Yeah, he was first he was on the battleships, right, with the guns, and he got a hearing disability, a hearing damage, but they kept him in because of Vietnam. So he became a medic. He was he was a medic in Vietnam when man, MASH hit my dad pretty, like the shit he saw. I don't fucking terrific. So, but yeah, those Vietnam dudes, like, you remember when we were kids, if you found out some dude served in Vietnam, you were always looking up to them like, hey man, what do we do? What do we get that? Now you're like, I mean, you sympathize with the soldier, but you also understand the complexity of a war. So this is not that story, but in this one, these are kids that have a overbearing, father, and they're making kid decisions. Like, why wouldn't a kid want to go, like, you got to follow orders, man? Did you follow orders when you were fucking 15? Like, did you really, like,
that's what I thought was interesting about like Spider, about that guy too, is that it like was solely treated them like they are little soldiers the whole time. Does that kind of fuck up him being able to interpret that his dad is a piece of shit, and that the way that his dad might not actually give a shit about him, that his dad might just be, what I'm saying? Like, I was kind of wondering if there was, if that's where they're moving with the character motivation. Now, my projection for Spider, what I kept expecting would happen in this movie, but now I expect obviously to happen in another movie, is he will get a cat body. Like, that seems to be kind of like, he's Pinocchio. He wants to be a real boy, right? He's going to get a cat body eventually. They're going to find a way to get him one as time goes on, I think. But I kept wondering if that's, and I think that's that character's eventual, like, that's his big line is, are you a Sully or are you a human? And I think that's going to be that character's like future in it, which I think is interesting.
Cameron's always asking people, like, what is humanity? Like, when Sarah Connor becomes a Terminator and the Terminator becomes more human, like, that's happening in a visual way. You could go, well, it could get deeper. You could, yeah, but I mean, it's pretty fucking effective the way they did that. Here, it's more on the Star Wars level, right? Than that. I'd say the Terminator 2 way is more, it's more of a dramatic adult, like visceral sort of thing. This is still, I feel, being seen through the eyes of their kids. And I think the films get harsher as those kids grow into adults and the world changes for them too, right? And so you see that in this film where their world is pretty simplistic. We're on this little raid with my dad, and we're blowing up trains, and we're doing all the things. But at the end, my brother was shot because fucking, you know what I mean? We made some silly, and I gotta fucking, like, own up to that, but not blame myself. Like, that's those kids are having to experience the real world at the end of the movie, not the made up fantasy that was in their head. Like, oh, this is a fun gun. Look at this. Like, here's what happens when you fire a gun, and here's what happens when a gun goes through your brother.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like when that guy's arm got ripped off. That was metal.
Oh man, that was my 12-year-old looked over me in the movie. I'm like, oh my god, Dad, what? Like, they show the arm, like, oh.
Like when Obi-Wan cut off a motherfucker's arm in Star Wars, right? That's some old school Star Wars shit right there. You cut off arms.
Jason, kids can be annoying in movies. I mean, we all have seen movies with annoying kids, but I don't think these kids were annoying. I mean,
no. I sat next to. I didn't get into it. I'll let you finish, Tom. Sorry.
No, I just don't. I don't think that they did anything that as characters. I was like, obviously I didn't want them to do some of the dumb stuff they did, but like I think Rob was basically saying that they were doing things that seemed like, hey, what is going on over here? Like, let's go check this out. And they're curious kids, so they were adventurous. They wanted to go see different things. So it didn't make me hate them. They were kids.
Yeah. That and that's kind of where I mean my critique of the kids, if I have one, is just simply that the two brothers, which I think are actually supposed to sort of represent Jake Sully and his brother, perfect brother, less perfect brother dies, imperfect brother has to take over the mantle and become the imperfect hero. I think that's where we're going with this, right? Mm-hmm. And but during the movie at first, I was having a hard time telling the difference between who the brothers were on screen because of like the visually. I wish one had a mohawk or something, just something where I could, so that way I could set them apart. But you quickly got it because you're like, this is the responsible one, and this is the one who wants to go do the right thing and is trying too hard. I didn't mind it at all. I thought Sigourney Weaver as the adopted daughter was really good. Yeah, really good. I thought that the my favorite part of the film, like I said, is the Free Willy stuff. Was the boy talking to the whale and the whale and their communications, and that was the part of the movie where I was like, this is scary. And I would actually, the movie almost broke for me. There was a part where I was almost like, I could fucking walk out right now when the kid drowns and then he wakes up and you think he's on a rock. I'm like, oh, come on. You can't drown down there and then I just swam up in my sleep. I was like, whatever. And then he's on the well. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
CJ, I was like, had you
seen
the Avatar?
You won me over, Cameron, you son of a bitch. That's what I said in my mind.
Had you gone to the re-release, you would have seen that sequence when he wakes up. The at the end of the Avatar re-release in September, they played that snippet where he's just in the water and he wakes up and you think he's on a rock, but he's on the whale. They just played that whole bit and he takes that out, and so you go into the water and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, at the end of the movie, there were a few times where you're like, all right, these guys are passed out underwater for quite some time.
Yeah.
And they get brought back up to the surface.
But the Na'vi are not humans.
Like, oh, we're good.
But the Na'vi are not humans, so they breathe. Yeah, they already.
And they even talked about it earlier in the film that they don't need the breather for.
And when they're underwater, they can hold their. Yeah, they can go quite a long time.
Yeah, they definitely kind of touched on it a little bit, not indirectly, but
is our new Rose's door with DiCaprio the fact that they couldn't just swim under the fire? I think that might be that was like the question that I picked up on.
The firewall was growing, so you can keep going, but you're gonna come up like it. Plus, I don't know if you've ever aware, man, the heat that comes at you even when fire's on water. You ever been near a fire, like even a car fire on like I drove on the 405 once there was a car fire. You feel it from like across the street, bro. Like the heat would have been intense, so I don't know if.
Real quick, Tyrant, we're talking about the kids in the movie, not kids in the movie theater, just to clear that up on that comment.
Kids in the movie theater are either...
I did have some kids in the movie theater annoyance, but that's a completely unrelated story.
Here's my experience in the theater. So to my right is an 80-year-old man and his wife who's on a walker, right? They check out when the whale, she's crying. Like his wife was being traumatized. To my left is 3 kids, all ages, I don't know, 8. Right, 7, 8 to like 11, right? And then above me is a 90-year-old guy who had to like ask what was going on, and then he took a nap halfway through, and then woke up and had he wouldn't shut up. And I even looked up, I'm like, oh, he's fucking 90. What can I do? I mean, he looked just like old, like the dude from Up with big fucking shader. I'm like, all right, what can I can never have a simple fucking. I was promised I was promised no one was going to be in theater, Jason. I was told for 10 years it was going to be an empty fucking theater. I was looking forward to it. They were, but here we are.
My theater was about 2/3 full, surprisingly. And I thought I got to 7 o'clock. I accidentally got to 7:45.
Yeah, it's a Thursday now. That's pretty good for a Thursday.
I went to a 3 p.m. Eastern showing and it was full. And to my right, one row over was a family. And this one kid, I mean, he must have been like 6 or 8 years old. He just wasn't interested. He just was like making noise, talk. And I tried to drown him out. But if I was even closer to this kid, I don't know how I would have been able to handle it because it was like nonstop. And that was the only thing that took me out of it. And then there was that one scene in the movie where it was a shocking moment where like a character shows up like out of the frame and just boom, he's there. And somebody audibly screamed in the movie.
Oh,
like,
what was it? Was it when they swim up into that like floaty thing underwater? Yes. And then the kid comes up with the little girls in there, or the small one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it like pops up out, and somebody like lets out this like horrific scream, and I was like, "What just happened?" It was.
Yeah. There's two jump scare moments that the first one played well. The second one, I was like, "All right." I just think like again that sort of synced up with the sound. Right. The sound design is great, but the music, I'm just like it's serviceable for me. Like I'm like. You know, like when he's underwater with the shark thing and it's like Jaws, I'm like, you really need someone like a John Powell or even a Giacchino, someone with some. I get having someone who worked with Horner on the film, but that's my one little thing of the film. I don't know. I'm like, if everyone's fucking stepping up, and then I think the music could have been.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't that like powerful musical moment.
No.
At the end that you would remember. Like I do agree with Rob.
The Weeknd, come on. No, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, The Weeknd at the end. That actually was like, whoa, that's interesting. But no, I agree, Rob. It just there was no sound that I even really remember right now that was just an emotion, you know, that the emotion came obviously from the loss at the end of the film, but it wasn't from the music for sure.
Yeah, so Bear's saying Alan Silvestri would have been his choice.
Yeah, he scored The Abyss, but some people hold grudges, and like with The Abyss, that score had to be done on like a shoestring amount of time too, because of the way everything was flowing down on that film. So like, you know, you never know who holds a grudge, kind of thing. I liken this score closer to like Brad Fiedel after Terminator 2. Like, do you remember anything he did? Does anybody? Right?
I didn't even know who did Terminator 2, honestly.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know that. And
the music's quite, other than the theme, the music is tied to what's happening in the film. But if you've listened to the Terminator 2 soundtrack, other than the theme, it's for like it's tied to the film. It's fine, but I still don't think this is as good as.
Is it a guy with the synthesizer and a lot of cocaine in a weekend, and he just went to town? Is that kind of No, I mean, hey, I'm not knocking it.
Hey, Rick McCall, the keys. We got.
Hey, maybe got him hired. I don't know, but
get Rick McCallum and his keyboard on here.
Yeah.
But it's like compared to like when I saw Sonic 2. I'm like, this music is fucking, it's just trying. I can't take this fucking movie, man. So like, that's a score that's trying to be epic. Like it's not trying to do that. It's just, the composer, he also did like he worked with Horner and all the music for like the Avatar kingdom, the animal kingdom in Disney World.
Oh yeah.
And it feels more like that kind of music you hear during like a ride, right? Like it's tied to the waves and the beats of the thing, but this is not a theme or a motif that is independent of all this stuff. Whatever.
So I took, and then on a side note, I took my father to see it, and my father has been watching Avatar every couple of months since it came out. Dude loves Avatar. Doesn't even care if it's in 3D. He'll watch that shit on TBS if it's on. He doesn't care. And after the movie, he was like, I think he said it was a better version of the first film, but he was kind of mad that he didn't feel like it was a real Avatar 2. He felt like it was a Force Awakens-y kind of thing. And he was like, he's like down for the next one. And I was like, yep, that's kind of what it's got to be, you know, because it's been over 10 years. You got to reintroduce it to everybody. And
the same thing. There isn't a big battle at the end with them versus all the fucking dudes. There's a battle,
kinda though.
No, but it's a smaller that starts out and works and contracts its way in, and then the ship also goes. It's one. It's not three fucking different things occurring like Return of the Jedi with all these other characters that are like it's. How do I say this, man? It'd be like if it'd be like if the Phantom Menace was really about like fucking 6 characters versus giant armies of people. Like the first Avatar is more of that armies of people thing, and this is less of that. This is more, it's more like the Abyss with parts of like, at the Abyss where it turns into like that underwater battle between his wife, Ray Brigman, right, and his wife and evil Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
Evil.
See that
Evil.
like kind of that's sort of the weird thing about it. I don't know how it washes out. That's not a bad pun either. It's just like with, in terms of like, you have a whole family, and the family is almost a character unto itself, and the mom.
Imagine if Han and
like,
Leia had their kid in
Yeah,
between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Now, how does Princess Leia in the Empire Strikes Back feel about moving her whole fucking family around on top of the rebellion too, right? Being hunted by the Empire, like.
But what I'm saying is, and I don't. This isn't like a real criticism, as if it's a problem and a reason to hate the movie or something like that. But like, I don't think every character in the family was like serviced in this episode of this part. Like, and I'm hoping that when we move on to the next one, I hope we get more into the other characters' arcs, like the mom kind of sidelined, or maybe the first movie was hers. I don't know. I don't know what the organization will be when all is said and done.
Well, I kind of feel like I just look at it like this. The first movie, did Cameron have any idea, and Rob would know from all of the background that he knows on the movie, like, did he plan on more when he was making Avatar 1? Because to me, Avatar 1 is a fully encapsulated movie.
His goal with Avatar wasn't to leave things open in the sense that this movie, with the New Hope, could have been just one movie, or it could be more.
Thing.
His goal was to create because he was trying. People forget, in the 90s he tried to get Spider-Man, and to a lesser extent X-Men made his films, right? X-Men was first, and then it rolled into Spider-Man, and that actually turned into a script. It actually turned into a deal where he cast Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was going to be a whole thing, and it fell through because of Carlico and all that fucking problem. So his thing was, I want to make something like Star Wars, the thing that inspired him. He wanted to make his big superhero-y adventure story, but he wanted to own it. So to get all that done, he needed to build. We need this tech, we need this, and so he made that film a complete adventure, and these were inherently designed to be for fucking things. But you could just watch this and be like, oh, I mean, what happens? They're going to fight the humans next. Yeah. But in the same way that Sarah Connor is going to leave at the end of Terminator with her kid pregnant, like, oh, John Connor's going to be born and fight there. Yeah. But we don't ever have to see it. Like, if it never happens, then you don't have to see it. The point isn't what comes next. The point of this film is, how are these people going to stop? What do you do, man, when you're fucking the guys what do you do when you're the hero, but now you're being hunted, and everywhere you go, everyone else suffers because of your existence? Like that is a real question. I was hoping, to an extent, the sequel trilogy would have dealt with what happens when Luke Skywalker is being hunted and he can't actually, single-handedly defeat the whole empire with my Star Killer powers, right? Like, that fucking narrative. Like, what do you do? And do you go to the farthest place possible where no one can find you, so no one else can be hurt, because they're so obsessed with you, right, that they're willing to destroy everything to get to you? Like, that was the missed opportunity for that film. Like, that I think that's what was happening. I mean, they're willing to, the First Order was willing to destroy 9 fucking systems in one shot, just, because they're like, we want Luke Skywalker, so where everyone suffers until we get him, kind of fucking thing. And that's what you're seeing here. But what you're also seeing is that these people, they're realizing, hey, they're killing the whales out there wasn't our problem, but now they're killing the whales here. Like, that's as human a response as I have ever seen. Hey, man, I don't know about climate change until fucking my whole town's flooded. Well, is it flooding? So that's as humans.
Well, the feeling I got from that whole whale killing thing was that I don't know. I just got a sense like they didn't really know what was going on. They're kind of like they were blaming the one whale for killing all of his buddies.
He didn't do it,
and he didn't even do it. Right? Like, they didn't know what was going on, and they weren't taking.
Patsy. He was a patsy.
Well, no, the whale was
That's the sense I got when I was
whale was
watching.
being punished for ever lifting a finger. Like
Right.
you were
For
not
fighting back, right? For fighting back,
forever
basically.
fight, and we don't fight back. And if your whole
Right.
culture says I don't fucking do something, you're the one who's like, but I did it because his mother was killed, so I'm personally fuck it, I'm gonna get my fuck. But you know, some people, man,
you touch that whale's mama. Oh, that's kind of what happened, right?
And then what do they do?
That's
They go, well, now you're ostracized, you know. So I don't know,
Stupid
man.
king.
Like
Boss
like,
Nass is
I like,
a dick.
I like it when fucking animals strike back, bro. That's what I love about the first film. Like with the planet itself has to. You're going to fucking, you know, you're gonna suffer the consequences. You have to participate. You have to participate. You can't just sit off. Even if the wealth, that's what the Titanic's about. It's like you think your wealth's gonna save you in the face of imminent fucking, like, you're in the middle of the ocean. You know what I mean? You've ran a ship into an iceberg. Your money isn't going to protect you from this outcome. You have to care. You have to participate, or you will die.
I found the reviews to be really annoying on that part where people were saying the Indiana Jones 4 thing with Spider. I thought that was insane. That's just trying to have a take. And then I thought that people like, there's a Titanic homage. Was that a Titanic homage? It's just a boat. Like that's I don't know. I thought that was a bit. I thought that was a bit far too when people were saying that's like maybe.
Well,
it's just
look, they can't say Fern Gully now because this isn't Fern Gully, so they're trying to come up with something. You know,
well, it's Free Willy.
Yeah. I remember Free Willy when they bored a hole into fucking the orca's head and personally drained his fucking brain liquid and made you feel like you murdered his fucking. I remember that. It's closer to Orca, this film, if you really want to be honest, man. The horrific nature of whaling, you know.
Well, and how heartbreaking is it? They show the scene where they're taking the amber, and then, you know, they're like, leave the thing floating, so we're sending a message, and then the next thing you see basically is the calf dead also, which was like so sad, right? Like, because when it's happening, I'm like, oh, now the calf is going to go swim off and be with the rest of the, you know, the pack, so to speak, and the next thing you see is he's dead, and that was super, like, god dang, that was super sad.
Yeah, I realized I was a sociopath when I was watching the movie because I was like, why aren't they taking the baby whale just to get a little bit, you know, a little bit more of that stuff? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, those people were terrible. That's the one thing.
Well, certainly after it's dead too. Like, they didn't extract, but maybe it doesn't have any when it's a juvenile.
Maybe it's like a maturation thing or something.
Yeah,
that's probably what it is.
Its nuts have to drop.
Yeah, but that one guy, the guy who owned the whaling boat, at first I didn't really realize what he was. I thought there was like kind of like fishermen or something, and I was kind of like, you know, is there some fishermen? And you're like, and then they're like commandeering his boat. You kind of feel bad for him, and then by midway in the movie, you're like, oh, this guy's a total piece of shit.
I hope his arm gets chopped off.
Yeah. And then same thing with the I wanted to beat the shit out of the scientist. Who has the harpoon now? I was like, fuck you, you sellout. Oh, just shut your fucking mouth. You're complicit.
Well, that's that apathetic,
yeah.
like, you know, there are these marine biologists who are like, well, I can't really get involved, you know. I mean, yeah, they're burning the monkeys alive in the jungle, but I mean, they could take more pain than us, you know. But then it's like, and then when they arrest the guys who burn the monkeys in the jungle, that's right. You like, it's that person who feels like they could just be outside of it and disassociate, you know. Yeah. And people are cognitive. People make that disassociation all the fucking time, man.
Did that guy die?
And the boat thing at the end,
was it not clear? Yeah,
I don't think it was clear.
Okay, yeah, because like, and then that was my other like when I was watching the movie when they send the giant whale away. I can't remember anybody's name in this show. I apologize, but that's
how I live.
Free Willy, our buddy Free Willy, like he goes away, and I was like, did I had to check my phone a couple of times. I did my trick that I said because my son didn't want to go. I had to check on him, and it was like I was like, what happened to that guy? And then but then it was a big fake out at the end. It's like, it come save you, come save the Sully boys at the very end. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I was kind of mad at the movie at that point. I'm like, I lost track of this well.
Still a fucking movie, man. What are you supposed to do? You know?
Well, the tracking of character. If we're going to talk about, if we're going to critique geography in films, which was fair game, so is tracking of characters. But it was done for a reason. It was deliberate. It was so when the big giant Jonah comes up and saves our buddies, then we're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. And I thought it was good though. That's my point. Is
Yeah, but they did tell him to hide because the harpoon
Mhm.
was in him and shit. So like he hid, and then eventually he comes back out. I
But
mean,
it's quite a while though from when they say that. Like in terms
yeah,
of, like,
yeah,
events.
yeah. Maybe he
And
hid
I
for
was like,
long, and then
and I started to go.
I
I
don't-
started to think, did he get shot in the head? And I like looked away and didn't see it. Like I started to wonder that for a few minutes.
the whale took too long. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
that's
a fucking whale.
that's
What do you want?
all right. You know,
Hey
Yeah.
Rob, I don't remember this from the first movie. Maybe I need to watch it again. The other thing that I thought was that pulled me out of it a little bit was the tattoos on the army avatars. I'm like, why do their tattoos transfer over? Like I thought
they
that
did.
was
They got him on the ship. They weren't recommed on Pandora. They're recommed in space. So yeah, they
right,
got
but
them
like the
either
one,
on
the
ship
one,
or they got
the one
them.
army guy had like that sleeve, like, or it might have
Yeah,
been a
but
girl, like,
right, but okay. I don't know, man. I've never been cloned and reborn into a
All
cat
right.
body before, but I'm gonna assume that if I had a bunch of fucking tattoos that I gave a shit, I don't have any tattoos. I fucking hate them, right? But like,
right, I don't have one.
it's not my
Me
thing.
either.
But I understand. I'm willing to bet that if you're one of those guys who's like, "Hey, man, my body had, I want to re-get the ones I had to make you feel more like who you were," you know. It's just.
See, I thought they did it in the movie. I thought they did it in the movie just so we could be like, oh, those are the bad guys, and like that, and then how we could kind of.
Well, they're all wearing military gear, bro. Like even their dragons have.
Well, they
military,
were,
which
yeah,
I love.
I know.
That's the cartoon aspect, dude. Like when
Rob,
the dragons got the
test-
military.
But wait
pouches,
a minute,
I'm
Rob.
like,
Hold on.
look at
Let me
him.
make this point real quick that he's talking about this, Jason. So they at one point they go, we got to get in the jungle and we got to go walk in there and we got to act like we're them and we got to infiltrate, right? And they're not going to see us coming. And then when we get there, we're just going to.
They put Oakleys on.
They're wearing their uniforms. So
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. You don't
But
think they're going to notice that you guys are coming in military gear? Like what?
Look, I don't know if you're aware that there's a. I would say this without insulting. Look, paramilitary guys talk a great game, right? Paramilitary guys talk a great game, right? And they all say they're gonna fucking blend in, but they all stand out. They all look like thumbs and Oakleys. They all do, but they all think they're blending in, man. My dad tried to get a job with Blackwater. They were just like, you're a little too old. He wanted to die wanted to die in battle. He didn't want to die growing old. Right. So this is something I had to have a conversation with my father. You know, some guys get a Ferrari. My dad wants to go to war. He wanted to go back to Vietnam. I don't know why. And then, you know, so I met with a lot of these Blackwater dudes, you know, when the Abu Ghraib shit was going down and shit. And like, they're all psychopathic fucking assholes. I've never met one I met this one guy who was like an ex-Navy SEAL who ended up working with the Rand Corporation. And I thought he had it together. And then after like just hanging out with him for like an hour, then he started like, he was always sweating, and then he finally was like starting to open up about, it was tragic. Like they have internal damage, man, but they hide that internal damage with this bravado of like, we're going to master our environment, we have control over where we're at, we are going to do this and we do that, and he ain't doing shit, you know, like it's just false bravado, man. People say what they need to say, you know.
Yeah.
That's why my friend was like, I wish there was more complexity to him. I'm like, I hear you, but sadly, they're not Tony Gilroy's fucking. They're not these dudes. They're the dudes. They're the guys that are down at January 6th. They're not that complex. Who literally thought, like, there's guys, and not just idiots, right? Like who pretend to be ex-military. If you guys know, like in Germany, like last week or the week before, they went and rounded up fucking like 50 fucking dudes, all ex-police and military, for plotting fucking an actual coup against the government. Yeah. So like these guys, man, this is where we haven't done anything for this country.
I was going to say, it'd be nice if we could quit that quickly. Not to get political.
Well, but this, you know, you got these guys that they're, this is what the Rambo First Blood, the actual book, was about, right? What do you do when you make a bunch of fucking dudes who are designed to kill and have to like go back into society? You can't turn that off, you know, like what are they beyond them becoming killing machines? What are they going to do with their free time? You think they're going to go, well, I think I'll take up crocheting. You know what I mean? I think I'll learn a good, I'll get on, Jason, this is a good time to talk to our sponsor, Masterclass, right? What could you do if the military turns you into a homicidal maniac, but you have free time? You go study about how to be a CEO with Bob Iger, that kind of bullshit. Fucking I know. Never give us a sponsor, Jason. I'll ruin it. But so that's who they wear these fucking they were wearing the Oakleys 20 years ago. Like nothing's changed, man.
I was actually gonna ask, because I didn't get to rewatch the first film. Did they have the Oakleys in the original film?
But the avatars, right?
Did
the
they
Na'vi,
or
sorry,
no?
but the Na'vi, Their
thought it was
flight
funny.
goggles look like Oakley's too. If you go to the first film, they wear, to keep the wind out of their eyes, they wear little goggles that also look like, so that shape actually, you know, is aerodynamic for probably flying around on drag.
I just like that the military guy had the Oakleys, the Navi military guy had the Oakleys, and the cutout for the nose, you know, fit the Navi guy like that. I'm just like, wait a minute, Oakley's making glasses for the Navi? How awesome! Like that's
hey
really
man,
cool
that's like
them.
when stormtroopers got like, oh, you really thought you were gonna have like the snow trooper, and you're gonna have this trooper, and you're gonna have that little one. Like it's part of the action figure moment. I
just thought it was fun. Like I laughed. I was like, oh look, that fits him.
If this were Denis Villeneuve's Avatar, it wouldn't work. But you know, he's still keeping one hand in the Edgar Rice Burroughs, you know, Flash Gordon.
I watched
still a little bit of
The
that.
Menu and Bones and All in the last couple of weeks, and so like food, it's been on my brain in film because of those two things. When I was watching this, I was like, you know, it's pretty interesting. It's like in this world, they had to go probably and take like pieces of the meat of the space whales or whatever they're called, and back to Earth. And then they had to start like figuring out like how to make recipes out of this food, because when they get there, they have to be able to learn how to cook and how to eat that stuff, right? I was like, huh.
There's plenty of shit to eat on Pandora other than just whales, man. Like,
no, I know, but what I'm saying is, but you have to imagine like how it would work. It would start as like a delicacy where super rich people would be taking that, and then the chefs on Earth would have to be figuring out like, how do we turn this into a dish?
Or they cut it up and fed it to prisoners like lobster. I mean, if you remember, lobster used to be something they fed to prisoners in prison. They're like, that's it was junk food. It was like the crappiest. No. Then now it's turned into this delicacy. So it used to be prison food. So you never know, man. You know,
damn, all the prison sex you want and lobster.
Well, this is 1800s.
Sign Jason up.
You know what that prison sex felt like, Jason. You know,
dry.
Wait till the 4DX version of that movie.
Did the lobster come with a side of butter? Sorry.
Only in Wales. Only in Wales. An accoutrement.
Yeah. Well,
all
so
right, it's been an hour.
So my to wrap up, I'll give my thing, and then you guys could give yours. And my thing is basically, the movie did not exceed my expectations, but it didn't go under them either. It was exactly what I expected. I got what I paid for. I had a good time. It is what it is. If you don't love the first movie, and if in fact you kind of hate the first movie, I don't think you're going to love this one. No. And if you had a good time watching the first one in the theater, you'll probably have a good time watching this one in the theater. But the first one's a pretty good barometer. You could just kind of upscale it a little bit for technological, advances over the last decade. And but I also think if you watch every Star Wars thing and generally enjoy it, you will probably have fun with something like this. That's kind of where I fell on it. Yeah. And then
my expectations. I mean, I just saw King Chris say, I mean, it met my expectations. It didn't revolutionize movie making. It wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I loved it. I want to see it again. I thought it was visually stunning, and I enjoyed the story, and it hit an emotional chord with me. So, yeah, I liked it.
I'm begging everyone to stop seeing it so I can have a theater to myself. So, I've been saying this for 10 years. No one's listening. It's bumming me out. Like, I want the theater all to me. That's all I want. That's all
James
I want.
Cameron. See that man squatting there behind you?
Yeah.
He doesn't just do it for you, Rob. He does.
I know you people just can't get past the dude saw Star Wars and fucking made himself into like one of the greatest directors of all fucking time. I don't know.
No, I literally don't care.
I can't get past it. No one fucking gets that. Like
I think it's good.
He didn't start a podcast and then go, oh, look at me and my super chats. Like he actually got fucking on with it. Like I'm super fucking inspired. I don't care how, everyone's flawed. Everyone has their fucking whatever. But that dude is continually doing the things Lucas always said. We're going to push the technology and we're going to do all this. And then he's actually doing it. So, and he's still doing it in his fucking 70s, like that's it, man. I appreciate everything this crew put together, everyone in the crowd, all of them.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, technically, it's amazing. I mean, obviously,
I'm glad I'm the only one who likes it because this is
this guy and his victim persecution complex on Avatar.
Well, that Cameron has that too. Cameron has that too.
King Chris, just one little clarification, Chris, is that I hoped I had my expectations, and then I hope there would just be something over the last 10 years that I could not see coming, with 10 years to develop the story and for something to happen where I was be like, what the fuck? That just didn't happen.
Before a guy that continually says he likes spoilers because you get to see the way it, I don't know, do you need to be surprised when you see
not my fault that nobody spoiled this shit correctly. I mean,
how did you feel when shit was? I'm like, did I feel something?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't know, man.
The level of feeling that I oftentimes get from this, I usually have a response to that is cynical. That's just deeply solely stick together. I saw people really into, and I was like a little bit like, I don't know, did you earn this?
That's how I feel about when you wheel your kids out on the camera, Jason.
Asshole.
I'm like, why bother? You're just gonna abandon them one day like my parents did. Not. Right? One day you'll leave your children.
Shit. I left Kenny at the theater.
Oh shit. Home Alone 3D, right? That's where they leave Kevin at the theater and he's stuck there all day, right?
I get back there, I go to the theater, Penny's like wearing like a cowl. She's like that kid with dreads. She's like with
all right, Will Morgan, I'm gonna explain this one to you. He did not steal No, I'm gonna explain this. Cameron got Harlan Ellison sues everybody, and you got to understand he did not want to settle out. The studio did because he got tired of dealing with Harlan Ellison. So if you right now, if I talk shit about Harlan Ellison, the ghost of Harlan, if he still, he'll come and sue us all. Like Harlan Ellison sued everybody. He lasted 1 week at Disney because he fucking made a sexual joke about the mouse. I mean, one day at the fucking chow hall the day of. Like that's what Harlan Ellison does. So that I know the story. I read the depositions, and Cameron fucking wanted to fight it, but Tony Spencer Fox was like, "Well, just pay him off and shut him up. It'll be done." He didn't win. They settled out. That's different. It's not the same thing, man.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a.
And if Lucas had released Star Wars today, Akira Kurosawa could have sued his fucking ass. I mean, we're gonna do that too, right? Like, right? The Flash Gordon estate was an estate. They could have sued Lucas. They would have lost, but they would have. Like,
let's put it this way. Legal stuff aside, if you went and you saw the Outer Limits episode and you watched Terminator, you would not get them confused. You would have to be a maniac to get them confused, or to think that one was hurting the other.
Harlan Ellison learned how to abuse the legal system the way Trump did in the 70s. He just figured it out, and I'm not taking away from Harlan's ability to write. He's a brilliant writer, but he's a deeply flawed person too. So, and it's just how he found a way, since he was fucking over so many people, he wasn't going to get paid residuals. He found out how to litigate his way to some wins too. They'll settle out. I'll just keep going. That's what he does. So.
Yeah. Well, and then just talk about 1 second. The thing about that is, I would rather have the Terminator than one episode of the Outer Limits. That's like, you know what I mean? It's like definitely more with it. But so we'll end it by me saying, Tom Harris,
thanks for having me.
I see you. Blue World Order.
What do they do?
I see you.
Yeah, whatever.
Bye, everybody. We'll be back on Monday to talk about Star Wars and get back to the business of Star Wars, and we can talk about some Avatar in the future. Still, we can do.
When is Henry Cavill coming to Star Wars, Jason? That's what we're going to talk about. It's
Kathleen Kennedy
ticking time
actually hired him, and then she fired him because she wanted to teach the Snyder guys a lesson. Yeah,
that would be great.
He wouldn't shoot coverage. He's out. All right, everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow or Monday. Thank you, Tom, as always. And
thank you, guys.
See you later, Rob. Here we go.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.